We have major Rams updates on today's episode of the Rams Digest. We're going to talk about the Matthew Stafford update, what the word is on if he will return next season. We're also going to talk about the possibility of trading Cooper Kupp and why it's unlikely that it may happen. And we're also going to talk about our Pro Bowler for the Rams, all on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Josh. If you don't remember, if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and press that subscribe button now, as 78.7% of you guys are still not subscribed to the channel. You're watching the videos, but you're not pressing that subscribe button. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest. Keep saying daily, keep not being daily. Been a busy week for sure for me, multiple jobs, all that good stuff. But we're here trying our best to get daily Rams content here. So, be patient with me. Let's get off with our first story here. Stafford's return. Now, I talked about this all last week, talked about maybe Matthew Stafford not returning, the possibility of trading Matthew Stafford, and it's really just a dive into the ideas and different routes the Rams can take with Matthew Stafford. But the reason why it's even up in question is because it's not just me, right, questioning the situation. There's real questions about Matthew Stafford and what's going to happen with him and the Rams next season. Now, realistically, it's likely he will return to the Rams. Matthew Stafford to play in 2025. Here's a report here. He will need a new deal with the Rams. And obviously when it comes down to money and signing players and extending players, GMs, it's their job to kind of try to be as, cheap as possible, if you will, I guess, as financially responsible as possible. We're talking about cap space and paying players. You can't just pay all these guys whatever they want. You have to kind of be smart about how you're spending your money. And Matthew Stafford, being a 37-year-old quarterback, it does give you pause. I'm sure it gives Les Snead some hesitation in terms of giving Matthew Stafford a 4-year contract, obviously, right? You can't give him a bunch of guaranteed money in that sense, but you can maybe extend him for one more season, really kind of give him a lot of guaranteed money, maybe give him a huge signing bonus, and then bring that caps hit down a little bit. So when Matthew Stafford does eventually retire, it kind of makes things a little easier for the Rams. That's kind of the hope, the dream. And, Travis Rogers on the Rams, on Locked On Rams podcast, he was basically essentially saying, and I agree with this statement, by the way, the Rams, Stafford, everyone involved, essentially, the whole NFL, right? Anyone who needs a quarterback, it's just the most beneficial for Matthew Stafford to return to the Rams. And I really agree with this point because he was essentially saying, if Matthew Stafford leaves, where is he going to go? There's not another situation out there better for him in terms of trying to win a Super Bowl. So why would he go and play for the Oakland or the Vegas Raiders, for example, right? They're not in a better position than the Rams in terms of winning a Super Bowl, and not closer than the Rams in terms of that goal, right, ultimately. Anywhere else that I can really think of? I mean, I know New Orleans Saints maybe wanted to replace Derek Carr, but I mean, there's not really a spot I can think of off the top of my head that has an open quarterback position spot for Stafford to go and try to win a Super Bowl for. It's just not really out there right now in the moment, no open availability for Matthew Stafford. So it doesn't really make sense for him to leave. And on top of that, here's a little breakdown of Matthew Stafford returning and to play next season. That was kind of the question. Is he going to retire? Well, the reason Stafford wants a new deal, obviously now that he's announced that he may not retire, he's going to play football next year. He virtually has no guaranteed money. We talked about this all last week as well, right? The guaranteed money for Stafford's contract is looking more like, sorry, I didn't move the screenshot here. The contract right now is looking more like $4 million guaranteed. And so obviously from Stafford's perspective, that's just not ideal to play on, especially as a 37-year-old quarterback. He's probably feeling like I probably will get hurt at some point this year, right? Knock on wood. But the reality is he's a 37-year-old quarterback. He may deal with some kind of injury next year. And so with that being said, you don't want to see him, he doesn't want to see himself, right, losing out on money. So he can't return to the Rams on the current contract he has right now. He's under contract. He technically could play it out, but it wouldn't make sense for him and his situation. So he needs a contract extension to play with the Rams. That's really the only hurdle we're having here, and it's probably going to be a simple, kind of similar to last season. I think it was roughly a 1 year, close to $40 million a year. That was kind of the extension that he signed. So something around that range where you're talking about signing bonuses being involved, you're talking about contracts being maybe void years in the contract, all that good stuff to kind of bring that cap hit down, guaranteed money included as well. All that stuff is kind of going to be involved. So that's why Stafford, wanting to return, he's going to need a new deal with the Rams specifically, right? Sorry if you guys hear my dog growling. She's growling at nothing, I don't think. If Stafford remain with the Rams, the team will have to pay him, and looking at his current cap hit in consideration, or taking his current cap hit in consideration, with how much time he likely has left in the league, Stafford and the team are likely to work out an extension. So it seems like it is likely, according to this report. By extending Stafford, the team would be able to give him the guaranteed money he wants while spreading his cap hit over the added years on the deal. Once Stafford retires, the team can then restructure his deal again over the added years, absorbing the hit while they bring in a rookie quarterback to develop allowing financial flexibility. So even though we are talking about Matthew Stafford possibly getting a little bit of a contract extension, again, nothing major, but a few years added to the deal, maybe 2, 3, $40 million, whatever it is, and kind of spreading that money around, all that good stuff. Once the Snead figures out the details of how to make this as make sense for the Rams and make sense for Stafford as well, then we can kind of move on from it, and Stafford will likely be the quarterback for the Rams. Again, it just makes the most sense for him to remain with the Rams. Rams wouldn't have a better option at quarterback. We kind of explored that last week. If he retired, right, how bad that would look. And then if he doesn't retire and you trade him, still how bad that would look in terms of the quarterback position for you. There's not many options unless you get lucky and hit on a draft pick, which the Rams don't have a top one, right? So it would be very difficult for the Rams to succeed without Matthew Stafford next year. And it would be difficult for Stafford to succeed himself without the Rams. So, makes sense. Let's just stay together. Let's just keep Stafford on the roster and look to drafting a quarterback. That's definitely something the Rams should probably do this offseason. Drafting one, trading for a young quarterback, signing a younger quarterback, maybe a Justin Fields, right? If you want to change things up, maybe a Trey Lance if you want to see what he has in the tank. All that good stuff. Those are names throwing out there. Last time I threw them out there, I think that was kind of random for some people. But, just a couple names that you never know. If you want to get more creative on offense, more mobile on offense in the future, those are some names that are free agents right now that could possibly bring that. Maybe you're talking about a Zach Wilson, seeing what he can do as a backup. Sorry for that loud notification. See what he could do as a backup, right? Zach Wilson, or see what certain guys like that, right, around that range, seeing what they can do for the Rams next season. That's kind of, we'll see if that's what they do or the route they take, but they definitely need to find a younger quarterback or to replace Stafford at some point in the future. Moving on to this next little thing here. Staying on the Matthew Stafford situation, not specifically about his contract, but a little positive story to talk about in around Matthew Stafford. Lions fan who sold his signed Matthew Stafford jersey for playoff tickets gets amazing gift from the Rams quarterback. This is coming from Cameron Da Silva of the Rams Wire, and it's a pretty awesome story. If you guys haven't heard it, apparently, as the title says, a Lions fan was trying to get to the game, decided to sell his. I got a lot of noise going around on the outside if you guys can hear. I'm sorry. But decided to sell his signed Matthew Stafford jersey to get and afford playoff tickets to go see Matthew Stafford, right? Or to see the Detroit Lions play in the playoffs. I shouldn't say Matthew Stafford. I don't know if it was a game versus the Rams, but he wanted to see the Lions play, right? So he signed an old jersey he had, autographed jersey, because he wanted to be able to afford his playoff tickets, which are not very cheap. And so it seems like Matthew Stafford decided to reach out to the player, or to the fan, I'm sorry, and get him a new autographed jersey. This is here we're picturing after Bryson Machanga, the fan who sold his autographed Matthew Stafford jersey. He was provided this new signed jersey for Matthew Stafford, a Detroit Lions autographed jersey. So pretty cool story here. Obviously, you love to see what Matthew Stafford can do. He just seems like such a nice, genuine human being. And so for him to do something like this, and there actually was a quote from the fan, his name is Bryson Machanga. He actually was saying, like, it's just a reminder of how awesome Matthew Stafford is as a person and how awesome he was as a quarterback. Not even a Lions quarterback anymore, right? And all of a sudden he's doing something like this for a Detroit Lions fan. Something that's pretty awesome. And just goes to show, it's like sometimes we can forget, I think, like, these players, they play for a team. I think if you followed your dreams, you're able to play for an NFL team for 8-9 seasons, right? Have the fans love you as much as they did in Detroit. How do you not have that in the back of your mind? How do you not always have that in your heart? And I think it just shows Matthew Stafford does still hold Detroit close to his heart, and he does appreciate those fans still. And he's able to do something nice for a fan, which is pretty cool to see. Moving on from that into a news story, trade Cooper Kupp. I know that people are tired of moving on from players, but here's the one player that we keep talking about, right? Cooper Kupp is the one that it's a general feeling about the way he feels about the way the year went. Maybe he's kind of ready to move on from the Rams. That's kind of a question we have up in the air at the moment. And so is that the reality? I don't know, but will the Rams trade Cooper Kupp? Well, it looks like probably they can't trade Cooper Kupp, as I'm pulling up the wrong screenshot. Here is a story here, obviously being covered on NBC by these two gentlemen on Pro Football Talk. And they're talking about why Rams are unlikely to trade Kupp this offseason. Now, they're talking about, here, the screenshot I have, they're talking about Rams quarterback and the plans to play in 2025, but they also decided to mention Cooper Kupp while they were talking on their show. And they decided to really discuss the conversation and say why it's kind of impossible for the Rams to trade, or unlikely for the Rams to trade Cooper Kupp. And it's really pretty simple. And I'll just break it down for you guys now. The contract. It doesn't really make any sense, right? For any other team, it's a 1 year, $29 million deal. That's a big cap hit for anybody to take on. Of course, the Rams would either have to extend him and then trade him, or release him and see another team pick him up, because the reality is that trade just, the value isn't there for any other teams to give up a second, third, fourth round pick, and then also eat all the cap space that Cooper Kupp's contract would take up. So it really just wouldn't make any sense. And then when you do extend a player, it is complicated in terms of the cap hit, the dead money you're taking on when in terms of trading that player. So really, it's not likely for the Rams to trade Cooper Kupp. If they wanted to move on from him, they would probably have to cut him and then let him sign wherever he wants to go. That's a conversation that I think he has to have with the organization, and it's something that I really don't anticipate happening. Again, I think we have to remember, I know many of you fans remember and been letting me know, you're going to keep Matthew Stafford, you're probably going to keep Cooper Kupp because they're Rams legends, and you want to see them retire as Rams legends. If you're going to keep Matthew Stafford, you might as well keep Cooper Kupp as well, because it's just a nice duo to have together. You extend both of them. You can lower your cap hit still. And so there you have it. You have more money to spend to build around these guys. And I really think the real issue on the offensive side of the football for the Rams is the offensive line, addressing the offensive line. So, spread that money around, open up some cap space, and sign a couple free agents on the offensive line, maybe get some offensive line depth as well. And see maybe replacing a tight end. All that good stuff can go into the Rams competing for a Super Bowl next year, especially if this defense continues to get better. You sign some players, things like that. So that's kind of the goal here. Moving on to the last story we have. The one Rams Pro Bowler this year. We talked about that kind of issue of some guys getting snubbed from the Rams. My dog might bark because other dogs are barking outside. Hey, relax. Don't bark, please. But overall, the Rams have one one Pro Bowler this year, right? So you take a look at the Pro Bowl players. Here's this nice snapshot from the NFL posting on Twitter of the Pro Bowl games. So you see the both teams there, but I'll just stay here too while I pull up the screenshot from the Rams posting. Big Cheesin' living his dream. There's Jared Verse smack in the middle of the NFC picture, sitting next to, it looks like Justin Jefferson right next to him. Maybe I'm wrong. I just see the 8 in the chain, but I'm definitely wrong. For sure, it's not Justin Jefferson. But that's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. Shout out to the one Pro Bowl the Rams have this year, Jared Verse, of course, as a rookie making the Pro Bowl. Well deserved from him. We could talk about the snubs all day, every day, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, but cool to see Jared Verse out there having some fun this weekend. Obviously, the Pro Bowl events happening now as we are speaking right now. It's Friday, January 31st, so we'll see some Pro Bowl events this weekend. We'll maybe get some updates, see what Jared Verse is doing out there. But other than that, that's kind of it. That's all I have for today's episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Hiron, and I'm out.